Hello, I'm LunarLightPriestess. I'm back with another video, and yeah, sorry about that. If you hear all that laughter and noise and stuff, it's really just my loud family. But let's call it ambience, because I will never find peace in this house. So I'm sorry about that. If it does bother you, I can't do anything about it. This is the quietest I'm gonna get, essentially. So anyway, I'm back. You might have noticed my same hair, my same shirt as my previous video that I will be uploading shortly after this. But this is just something I want to get off my chest. Something I want to get off my chest because, thank you for that. I think it's pretty important on this channel because I'm going to talk about all these spiritual concepts and stuff like that. So I think it's important to share my spiritual journey and how it came to be that I became like this spiritual person that I am now, you know. So I remember when I was growing up, I always felt connected to nature. I always would be like that really shy, introverted, quiet kid, like almost completely antisocial, you know. Like other kids would talk to me at first, and because I was so taken back by like them just trying to talk to me, I wouldn't say anything. I'll be like, and they would just be like, she's really weird. So everybody would just be like, boop, disperse, and I'll be alone somewhere in the corner, and my mom would come pick me up from preschool or whatever, and she'd be like, where is she? And teacher would be like, she's the one hiding behind all the toys and the bookshelves right there. See? Right there? Yeah, that's her. And I'll come out, Mommy! She saved me, you know? She was somebody I knew. So, anyway. So I was always very comforted by nature because nature is something you don't have to speak to unless you want to, you know? You can just be. You can just exist. There's nothing to prove. She knows who you are already. There's nothing to try and do. There's no facade. There's no mask. So fast forward in my younger years, obviously older than preschool and stuff like that, I was probably like 10 to 13, 14. Yeah, so like 10 to 14 years old, and I never gave like religion a thought because I grew up Catholic, really. My grandmother, who's like cackling upstairs, she's from DR, so she grew up Catholic, like real strict. I had to go to like Catholic school lessons, I guess, in the Bronx, like all these, I don't know what you call it. It was kind of like a church school that I would go to on Sundays with one of my friends who also just so happened to go to the same place, even though she wasn't Catholic per se. So yeah, I had my communion and everything, and don't ask me what all that stuff's about because I don't remember, but I did that. Yeah, so maybe like 10 to barely 14, I decided like I would just ask questions when I was younger, and I was doing all those religious related activities that my family forced upon me. And really, they're not even forcing it on you like to be bad. It's just, this is what they know, so they're gonna bring you up in the same faith, obviously, and they have good intentions about it, obviously. But it's not about what you want when you're a kid, you know, which is fine. I live in a Latino family, don't care about your feelings anyway. So fast forward, I would question, actually, let's go back. I would question that stuff, that narrative, and I'll be like, okay, well, how come this is this? And why is it 3? And why does that matter? And how is that possible if this doesn't happen physically? Like, what does this even mean? Every question, everyone I knew would just be like, I don't know, man, it just is. We just believe it. And I was like, well, I don't. There's something fishy about this. So I'm not trying to knock any kind of religion. You believe what you believe. I believe every religion has truth. To me, it all connects to the same culmination point. It's all the same end place, you know? We just have different names and different perspectives, different stories of how all that came to be. But the end goal, source, is always going to be the same thing that we're describing, just with different words. So, from like 10 to 14, I started having my own ideas. And I was like, F it, you know? If they believe in this stuff and they cannot describe to me, they can't give me any concrete answers that I'm looking for, then I don't believe in anything. Which is really, it's strong to hear myself say it, because I don't believe that anymore. But I would say I don't believe in anything. Like, I had like an emo phase during that time, or a goth phase, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what I thought I was, but I would pretty much just walk around and always look like this. I mean, honestly, that's my resting face. I still look like that even when I'm happy. Until I smile, and then I go back to doing a Kanye. That's just my face. I don't know. The point is, I thought I was an atheist during those years. So I would just be like, there is no God. You die, and then you go in the ground and nothing happens. You just see black. It's just you in the infinite void. There's nothing else. There's nothing to look forward to. Like, it was very dark in my way of thinking, and I didn't even have a life yet that I lived to gain such experience, but I was so sure that there was nothing else. And so one day, I mentioned it to my father, who was in this very religious marriage. You know, his lady, she was all about the church. She was like super Christian, super like, we got to go to church every Sunday. Like, we make it a big deal. It's a commitment. Like, we got to do it, right? So he was super into that. Don't ask me how, but one day I went to his house, and it somehow was mentioned that I didn't believe in anything. And he was like, are you stupid? Like, what? I don't know where, but he pulled out a Bible from somewhere here. It looked like thin air. It just appeared in his hand. I didn't see a shelf. I didn't see nothing. He just had a Bible. Okay? Whole Bible. Sits me down, lectured me for 5 to 6 hours about why God exists. Told me all the stories, practically went through this verse, turning pages, and then this verse says this, and then in this one, this is what Jesus said, and yeah, and then in Revelations, and then the beast. And I was like, you're trying to scare me? It's not gonna work. Whatever. So I left that conversation, and he felt so defeated because I didn't care, you know. But I'm not gonna lie, that moment was very important because it was the catalyst. And from there, what he didn't make me believe per se, but he made me believe in something. I said, all right, now he planted the seed, and now I'm gonna start looking for what it is, you know. So I would look at Muslim religion. I would look at ancient Greek religion, Kemetic philosophy, Zoroastrianism, just a little bit about everything, you know. I was like looking at African spiritualities, all the Latino influences from Catholic religion, like everything, Hinduism. Like, I looked through it all, right? Or so I thought. And so I was still like just searching. I was like, I gotta try to find out like what's good for me, so I'm just gonna look at everything, right? So I was very open at the time. Over time, I became less like, I hate everything, nothing exists, and I just became more open since that moment. So one day, my 7-year relationship in high school, I was like 14. You do the math to when it ended, you know. I was 14, we got in a relationship one day, and then we were in high school together, and he comes to school real weird. He was just like, I was like, you good, bro? What you want? What you doing? Why you live like that? And he was like, I just saw this video and it changed my life. I will never look at anything the same way again. And I was like, cool, show me. So he finally showed me the video, and then probably right after I was the same exact way. I was like, I can't look at anything the same way ever again, and reality is not what I expected. And like, I was just so overloaded with information. I said, I have to research this. And then the video is still on YouTube, actually, funny enough. Maybe I'll link it below if I remember this. But it was this channel called Spirit Science, and it was called the Human History Movie. Now they have since changed their name, so it's called like Spirit Verse, I think, or something. But it was probably like an hour long, and it's an animated video. I should link it below. I think I'll try to do that if I remember. And then from there, I started getting into like new age concepts, and I was like, yeah, this is my thing, you know. But then I still crave more, and I said, I require a foundation. I am young. I need to know what I'm supposed to do, you know. How do I get to the happy ending we all deserve? And firstly, I knew some common sense things, that my God is not a God to be feared per se, especially if you're a good person. You have nothing to worry about as long as you have goodness in your heart, as long as you have love in your heart and compassion for all beings. So then somehow along the way, I discovered Wicca. And Wicca is, I guess you could say, a form of witchcraft. Please don't demonize me. But this is a free age, and I'm just thinking freely, right? So I was probably like 14, 15 now, and I discovered Wicca. And it basically is this nature-based religion, this earth-based religion. So going back to my childhood, it just felt right, you know? And you do follow... This is just the most basic way of me interpreting it. I'm not even looking at anything. It's not the official definition for sure, but you do rituals and spell work and things like that. You work to build communion with the earth, the environment around you, so that you can live in harmony. And the form of Wicca that I was following, you basically follow 13 tenets, 13 rules of what to do or don't do, or what to believe, you know. So really, I think one of them was honor the goddess within, honor the God within, that you are male and female together, and they must live in harmony. They must live in balance with one another. So I was real with it, you know. It planted the seed that ceremony and this sacred connection with the planet we live on, that to me is such a big part of what God is, you know. God is everything, God is everywhere, God is in all things, God is you, God is I. And then after a time, I'm not gonna say like I evolved from that, but I just stopped thinking that it was 100% my thing anymore, you know. I was like, nah, it's bigger than that still, you know. Because writing these rules on pieces of paper, like, there wasn't a holy book or anything, but you still had rules to follow because it was a form of religion, you know. To me, religion can be seen as a form of control over the people. So regardless, I didn't want to be held down by that. And I just decided, like, you know what, I'm just going to go back to what I've always been, which is a spiritual being having a human experience. And this doesn't even matter, you know. It's nice to follow. You can still follow these practices. You can still have communion with the earth. You can still build connection with her. You can go outside in your yard, and that will be as sacred as anything else, you know, if that's what you believe. And so I strongly believed in the power of nature, and then it just so happened that I don't follow anything anymore, you know? Not like that. I believe in everything in its own way. I think everything exists somewhere. But it's a very paradoxical view that I've adopted, because life is complicated. It's complex. It's intricate. It's infinite. It's awesome. You know, this wonderful author named Dolores Cannon, she made this book called The Convoluted Universe, and I've been dying to get it, because it basically explains how the universe functions and blah, blah, blah. That was a lot of talking. But anyway, that's my story. I'm just here now. I just take things as they are and I don't put a name to it. So if you liked how I shared my journey, maybe feel free to stick around in the next one whenever I decide to be in the flow again and come on here and make these videos for y'all. So I love you. See you in the next one.